Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering creativity. I'm Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Marin Alsop, who serves as the principal guest conductor of the Philadelphia Orchestra. Marin, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Good to see you.
Well, it's great to see you, and obviously, I am so excited to be able to have you on the show, co-curated with Philadelphia Orchestra, one of our great creative partners. But you are, of course, one of the icons in our field and in the discipline, and so many people, I think, look to you for leadership and for kind of guidance about different things. So, what I thought would be great is to kind of talk about that role of leadership, which I'll get to in a second, but also orchestras and what role they can play in a society. So I know one of the things that Philadelphia not only recently has done but has done for many years is tour, and especially tour to China. And wondering if you could kind of just share a little of why you think that type of experience is important and impactful.
Well, the Philadelphia Orchestra was the first U.S. orchestra to perform in China 51 years ago now. And since that initial visit, they have kept a consistent relationship, sending either small groups of musicians to work in cities, big and small. Almost every city in China is big, or work with young musicians, or they've sent the whole orchestra. And this past November, I led a tour of the entire orchestra, which was the first one since COVID. So it was quite meaningful. And also, I think, they have such a long-standing, not just relationship, but I would say trust. And that really felt very impactful to me. In this day and age, with politics being so divisive and insecure and uncertain, um, it really we felt very welcome. Uh, I felt that there was a long runway that they had built, to really have a secure relationship. And I think that music has this capacity to reach out and connect us over all these barriers and all of the noise. It breaks through, and it was really an incredible, I have to say, an incredible experience on every level. Not only did we play standard repertoire, we also brought a project where Tang poetry was set to music, and the latest one song was composed by Mason Bates, and we had singers who were not from all over the world, also Chinese singers, but everyone sang in Mandarin. So it was bringing that language to life in a different way for everyone. So I felt it felt very it felt important. It didn't feel trite at all. It felt very profound.
And in these experiences, do you think that it, if you will, kind of furthers that human connection or lessens the kind of differences between societies or nations, and or kind of for those in our audience who may represent orchestras and are thinking about touring and or are thinking about describing its value to donors to help who
Mhm.
help make
Yeah.
those tours
Mhm.
possible, and say, what would you share with them about kind of that resulting, I guess, kind of impact?
Yeah. Well, I think that I think touring for any orchestra is is an important leg of the stool. It's not just touring, of course, but touring and also building bridges, building strong bridges with different cultures and different communities. I think it's my personal opinion is that it's more important to go deeper with a community and the relationship than it is to cover more communities. When you start to build a friendship and a trust, and it, music is nonpartisan. It doesn't espouse to any particular opinion. It's something that we're all born to understand. Everyone sings. Every single person on the planet whistles, sings, music is part of us. And so we are unified by music, even if we speak different languages and have very different backgrounds. So I think that this is a way to have that immediate contact and connection, but then it's our responsibility to follow that up like the Philadelphia Orchestra does, with consistency and trust and loyalty, and really to make a commitment to that relationship. I think it's like building any kind of great friendship. You have to do it over time. You can't demand it. You have to earn it. And sometimes you have to also step back and step forward again.
Absolutely. No, and thank you for sharing that too. And I think that that impact is so key, especially just these days with, as you mentioned, divisiveness at such a high level. So now to kind of back this out to leadership of orchestras overall. So obviously, Philadelphia Orchestra, you've led some of the, most impactful, most important orchestras in the world. And just wondering, especially for those in our audience who think about that and often see, conductors on a podium and are like, well, they're just in a separate world, and kind of wonder about that. What I was wondering is, can you kind of give us a sense behind the screen of what do you feel is most important about that role as a conductor? In other words, when you take the podium, you're like, here is what I have to accomplish, or the unique role that I'm playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a big question, that it seems simple on the surface, but when you go down below the surface, it's quite complex because, of course, every orchestra is different. Every situation is different. In some situations, I'm music director, which means I'm responsible for, I'm like the parent. In other relationships, I'm a guest and I'm like the aunt that you see once every 2 years. You know what I mean? So eh, there's a different connection, and the aunt can spoil them and leave, but the parent um has to really try to adhere to certain boundaries and certain values and certain things that you want to instill in an orchestra, just like you would in any relationship. So for me, first and foremost, it's the music, and that is the great thing that we're all there for. We're all there for the exact same purpose, to serve these great creators and to bring their music, recreate their music in real time for the listeners. And all the musicians and I are on the same page about that. But it's a matter of what kind of atmosphere you want to create to bring out the best in people. For me, I like a joyful atmosphere and an atmosphere of hard work, get a lot done, but have a few laughs, and enjoy the time. My dad, who was concertmaster of the New York City Ballet, he said, if you don't enjoy the rehearsals, you'll never enjoy the concert. And I thought that was great advice. So I really try to, I mean, it's not slapstick, like that kind of thing, but it's more about trying to have a deep, authentic experience when you're working together for the same unified outcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that is great, and I feel like gives a little window into that
Mm.
position. And also, when so many people, and I know many in our audience, are always kind of, what are the trends? Where is our field heading? Where is orchestral music heading? Those types of things. People have all often like to call for the impending demise of our field, etc. Just wondering, do you feel or have you seen any trends, or do you get a sense of, certain things in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I mean, it's cyclical, of course, and like everything, the pendulum swings one way, the pendulum swings back. So there's always the concern that as as people are more distracted by the internet, by immediate gratification, by entertainment at home, by streaming, that it will pull people away from this art form. But I don't know. I'm more optimistic, I suppose, and I also see the incredible value in our art form, and I'm very encouraged by the fact that finally it's opening up to everyone, not just a very small swath of privileged individuals, but thanks to, I mean, and we have to say that really these tumultuous times we've just passed through, I think beginning with the Me Too movement, with the Black Lives Matter movement, with COVID, which was hugely, um, it was devastating in many ways, but also it was a wake-up call, I think. So all of these things really aligned and combined to create more diversity and more, um, I think, more opportunity in our field. So I feel more encouraged about it. And
Awesome.
I hope that orchestras will jump on the bandwagon. I was very excited when they decided that they would allow streaming and starting to integrate digital um, technology into their concerts, etc. I was really excited about that, but I feel now, of course, this is always the way. Now everyone's taking a step backward from that, which makes me nervous. But again, I've seen the pendulum go back and forth so many times. Now at least people know that that's another avenue available. Now people know that there are, I mean, I don't know how they didn't know this before. There are people of color writing great music. There are people of color performing at the highest level with, extraordinary talent. I mean, of course, it of course distresses me that, you know, our business could have made this choice 50 years ago to open it up and did not until the pressure was on. But I think that's a little bit how society works and the world works. I'm hoping that the retreat from the DEI initiatives and I think also the gender equality initiatives, the retreat from those, I hope it doesn't. Um, I hope it's not. I hope it's not too extreme. There's always a reaction, so we have to sort of ride that wave. It's like if you have any stocks ever, you have to be calm, because if you react to everything, you can't survive. But I think the trend is very encouraging. So I'm really excited.
Absolutely. Awesome. 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 Well, unfortunately, we are just about out of time, but I always like to ask of all of my guests, this work obviously is so rewarding that you're able to do the impact that you've described, whether on tour or other performances. And just wondering, because there must be tough days, and wondering as a leader, is there any mechanisms or things you do to get you through kind of when there are obstacles that seem to be insurmountable?
Oh, I guess, I feel the power and the privilege of being a musician in those moments very acutely. When it feels that you just can't go on, or one more bad review, or whatever it is that people are up against. I think remember why you're doing it. Always try to hang on to the essence, of what you're doing, and that's what I try to do. And some days it works.
Marin Alsop, you truly are one of the arts engines who is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for everything you do, and thanks for being
Oh,
on the
thank you.
show.
My pleasure, Aaron. Great to see you.